All right, guys, it is what it is. Salute, salute, ATP. It's your boy Clay More Rain back at you guys with another one. So it's in the books. Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. Edgar Berlanga versus Hamzah Sheeraz. The press conference kicked off today. And look, man, I'll be honest with you guys, didn't fall short of expectations. Did it exceed the expectations? I don't know. What were we really expecting from the press conference? But I'll tell you, in some ways, maybe he did exceed expectations. Shakur Stevenson's super confident. The hands seem to be at least squared away for now, right? Let's keep our fingers crossed, because if there's anything that we know about Shakur Stevenson is we're not all the way there yet where we need to be as far as confidence in his hands. Edgar Berlanga, in Edgar Berlanga's way of delivering it, did what he was going to do, right? Pushed the point that this was his city. He is headlining the card. Although they were introducing the fight as two main events instead of a main event and a co-main event, knowing that Shakur Stevenson and Edgar Berlanga, the way it lined up, a lot of people felt Shakur Stevenson should have been the one headlining the card. I'm not really tripping one way or the other. I can see arguments for it either way. This is Edgar Berlanga's city, to be in New York. Shakur Stevenson, a native of New Jersey, and for all intent purposes, at least Edgar Berlanga has been part of a successful pay-per-view event fighting Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson, really the closest thing he has to show improve as far as his market value and selling a pay-per-view event would probably be him and Josh Padley. And you could take that for what it's worth, being that he wasn't even a co-headliner on that card, right? But regardless, at least both these guys are finally getting in front of some real competition. Edgar Berlanga, outside of Canelo Alvarez, in my personal opinion, really hasn't fought the caliber of fighter that I think Hamzah Sheeraz can be. And I say can be, keeping in mind, of course, that we all, at least I think boxing pundits in the space, if you're aware of Hamzah Sheeraz, know that he was a fighter who were looking to do great things in the sport. Prior to this performance he had against Carlos Adames, was really showing out to be a favorite against Carlos Adames, and really we were looking forward to see a big unification fight between him and Janibek. That never happened. Going into that fight, rumor is that Hamzah Sheeraz may have had injured hands and also a bad weight cut. Hamzah Sheeraz was always a big guy for 160 pounds, but looked like he was going to go ahead and try to unify there and ultimately move up to 168. That gets fast forward as Hamzah Sheeraz has also changed his training staff and has implemented and brought in Andy Lee, who's working his way to be one of the top trainers in the game right now. You think about Andy Lee, you can't not think about the great Emmanuel Stewart, rest in peace to him, as well as the fighters that he's worked with in Joseph Parker, and also even helped in Tyson Fury's career as well. So this guy comes with a lot of experience, a lot of real good perspective, hands-on, tangible experience that should work out and help Hamzah Sheeraz on being the best fighter that he can be. At 168 pounds, no more bad weight cuts for Hamzah Sheeraz, no more injury excuses. This may be one of the best Hamzah Sheerazes we've ever seen, with the addition of Andy Lee. And Edgar Berlanga gets to show and prove that, listen, it wasn't a fluke. All the pushback Edgar Berlanga got for being chosen by Canelo Alvarez, being looked at as a cherry pick in that fight, fought 12 rounds with Canelo Alvarez, but a lot of people felt like he just survived that fight, right? Like really didn't maybe take the chances that he needed to take and go out on his shield to make that happen. My personal opinion, I thought, look, Edgar Berlanga did what he could, right? But Edgar Berlanga's been riding this whole entire momentum and train ever since that loss with Canelo Alvarez, to be honest with you. I've never seen somebody really ride the momentum up with a loss as if they won, right? So pushing out that he was a star attraction, that he is the A side, he is the payday for any of these fighters. He's the guy ever since that Canelo Alvarez fight, as Fat Joe once said, yesterday's price is not today's price. He finds himself moving away from Eddie Hearn in Matchroom, coming off of a very nobody who we don't even remember who he fought in his last fight, co-headlining underneath Ammo Williams. Didn't make too much sense. Left that outfit, now an independent fighter, finding his way on headlining a Ring Magazine card. We got to assume the payday makes sense for him. What is Edgar Berlanga going to do with this opportunity? Is he going to show and prove in this event and show why he is a pay-per-view star and be the A side with negotiations with the likes of Caleb Plant or Diego Pacheco or Christian M. Billy or Jaime Munguia, or maybe even put himself in position to be back in the ring with the Canelo Alvarez? We're going to find out a lot about Edgar Berlanga because Hamzah Sheeraz won't let him off the hook. He's got a great coach in Andy Lee. I'm looking for a great strategy. Look for a fighter who's 6'4", right? Going to be using that reach, has power in that right hand, going to stay behind that jab. And Edgar Berlanga is going to have to figure a way to get past all that, clear that void, that space, bring this into a mid-range situation into where Edgar Berlanga can deliver what the whole audience wants to see and what Edgar Berlanga has promised to deliver, which is a knockout. Hamzah Sheeraz at the same exact time gets to show and prove that what happened against Carlos Adames was a once in a blue situation, injuries, bad weight cut. This is not who I really am. You're about to see who I really am at 168 pounds. Now that we're not dealing with the uphill battle of an aggressive, nasty weight cut, are we going to see a Hamzah Sheeraz who shows and prove that the eye test didn't lie to us, that what we saw in him in those Riyadh cards when he beat and stopped Amon Williams, and what Turkey in particular sees in Hamzah Sheeraz isn't a hype show, isn't by mistake, that this guy's the real deal. This is going to be a huge fight now. I'm expecting it to be fireworks. And of course, Shakur Stevenson getting to show and prove as well, right? He gets to show and prove that the hands were injured for all these fights. We can go all the way back to Edwin De Los Santos, to that performance going into the Haratunian fight, that performance, and even the injury that he had that stopped him from fighting Joseph Cordina, and just showing and proving that now this 100% rehabilitated Shakur Stevenson, whose hands should not be an issue anymore. We only can hope, as Shakur Stevenson has promised to stand there and fight and deliver his best performance up to this date. He finally gets to make a legitimate argument as to why he should be the number one guy at 135 pounds against a motivated William Zepeda, an undefeated William Zepeda. Granted, William Zepeda coming off of two very competitive fights against Tevin Farmer. Some people feel like he got exposed to a certain degree fighting against that slick black fighter. What is he going to do with Shakur Stevenson? We know what he can do. We know that his punch output has never been in question. We know that his conditioning is second to none, that this guy's going to be in the fight fighting the same way in round 12 as he did in round 1. But is that going to be enough to topple over the Shakur Stevenson, derail the Shakur Stevenson train on the road to greatness? A great victory for Shakur Stevenson on the back end of this fight is going to put him in a position to negotiate some of the biggest fights. Shakur Stevenson now working with Turki Al-Sheikh, entertaining the likes of Conor Benn, entertaining the likes of Gary Antoine Russell. Obviously, we know about a big super fight that the whole entire space wants to see between him and Gervonta Tank Davis and Teofimo Lopez at 140 pounds. Who knows what's in store for Shakur Stevenson on the back end of a dominating performance against a fighter at the level of a William Zepeda. And of course, William Zepeda gets to put himself in the conversation of a Tank Davis, a Keyshawn Davis, unifications, big fights at 135 pounds. And why not in front of the eye of the biggest investor in the sport today in Turki Al-Sheikh, who's also made a little bit of a guest appearance, calling in the middle of the press conference to let them know how important this card was, that this was going to be a history-making card. And on the back end of this card, Turki Al-Sheikh saying that he had big plans on seeing Shakur Stevenson and Tank fighting, and he was going to make that his prerogative to make that happen. We know Tank is a prize fighter driven by money. Even though he's shown indifference with the whole entire Saudi Arabia movement, money still talks. Let's see if Shakur Stevenson can give the performance that the fans need to see, and maybe Turki Al-Sheikh might be able to give Tank Davis the offer that he can't refuse. All good in boxing. Looking forward to seeing this fight. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Is Shakur Stevenson back? Are we still worried about his hands? Is William Zepeda going to be too much? Did William Zepeda get exposed fighting against Tevin Farmer in those two fights? He's going to have to show and prove. Is Edgar Berlanga going to show us that he's a face of boxing right now? Show A-side pay-per-view superstar now on the back end of a 12-round fight with Canelo Alvarez that he lost damn near every round? Is this fight going to let us know who he really is? Or is Hamzah Sheeraz going to show and prove that that was a fluke that happened when he fought against Carlos Adames. That the reality is, who you thought I was is who I am. And not only was it who I was, but I'm even a better version of myself now with the addition of Andy Lee to the team. Let's go ahead and keep an eye on this one. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Guys, remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit your bell notification so you are getting notifications when I'm dropping videos like this. Catch me on my lives Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This week, see, I'm building up the set. It's a new set. It's not even done yet. All types of things are happening in the background, so I wasn't able to do my lives like I normally do it. But always remember, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, not only am I doing my morning show, but in the evenings, I'm doing a show with Blue Blood Sports TV, co-hosted with my guy, Blue. We're talking about boxing all day long. Support the channel. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Let's get the thumbs up so this can get in the algorithm. And until the next one, it's your boy, Rain. And at this point, we out.